is a football podcast, man. Meat, football, good. Man, we talk football. We eat burgers.
Ben,
Josh,
we had a playoff matchup, a couple of them. How do you feel after this weekend? Because I don't know about you, I am mixed feelings.
this was almost, and I'm talking 3 or 4 yards here or there away from being potentially the worst fantasy week of my life. Almost.
Oh man, what a weekend. For those of y'all who are just now tuning in, did not get the backstory. Ben and I faced off in 2 semifinal matchups, and not just any 2 semifinal playoff matchups. These were the 2 most important dynasty leagues in which we participate. There is league number 1, which we call Granddaddy of them all, because of course it is an homage to the Rose Bowl, aka the bowl game with the most tradition, pageantry, the one that's got a parade. Let's put it that way.
The one with
That's
the boys.
this dynasty league. Yes. And then we have another one, Ordinary Gentlemen, which through
It's an OG
no
league,
fault
too.
of our own, we enjoy it.
It has nothing to do with the fact that our teams are stacked.
Oh, absolutely nothing whatsoever. Nothing at all. It has nothing to do with the fact that either yourself or myself has represented in the championship game each of the past 3 seasons.
No, nothing to do with that.
Nothing at all. But yeah, we faced down in the 2 most important dynasty leagues, and this episode is the aftermath of those matchups. We put it up on Instagram earlier today. We're recording this Tuesday the 19th. This will go live Wednesday the 20th. Earlier today, we put up, I just did like a little teaser of one of the scores of one of these 2 matchups, and hair of the chinny chin chin. Let's put it that way.
I was stressed. Like I wanted to throw up last night.
I watched the entire Monday night game, and I normally don't watch the whole Monday night game because usually, like,
You had a reason to this time.
yeah, usually the consequence is not worth me staying up until 11:30, 11:45 on a Monday to watch a football game. But that Monday game, I watched every single play of it, and I was like clenched, like my whole body was so tense. And the house is quiet, the dog's asleep, Haley's asleep, and I'm just like sitting here just in the bed trying not to wake. Yeah, like trying not to wake anybody up, but there's just. So, anyways, that's what this episode is. We've got some news as well. Also looking at some of the most painful ways in which you all lost your playoff
I'm
matchups,
sorry,
because
guys.
it's more fun when you get to share in the pain. Shall we? Let's dive into some news real quick before we jump into the aftermath.
Let's do it.
Jamar Chase will miss some time with a separated shoulder.
God.
This did not affect any of our playoff matchups whatsoever. I promise you.
Jeez.
I know you will have many thoughts about this
I am upset.
as we dive into these matchups.
I'm upset.
I am sure this was upsetting.
Chase had an okay game. Not an amazing game, but he had an okay game. I feel like Jake Browning likes T. Higgins more than he likes Jamar Chase. He really does. He seems to connect with him better.
He does. I will grant you that.
It's tough for this to be the way it ends for the Bengals. It ends for many fantasy teams who have depended on Jamar Chase. Even though he's been a little hit or miss through no fault of his own, he hasn't had his star quarterback for essentially the entire season. More or less. I mean, Joe Burrow started the season injured. He was hobbled. He was playing, but he could barely get around. So Chase was, dealt with issues there. Then he finally got healthy for like a 3-game stretch. And we're like, all right, the Bengals are going to start to click. here it comes. Like we saw Jamar Chase blow up game versus Arizona where he scored 3 touchdowns. Like, here it is. Like Jamar Chase, he's got his weekly floor, and he's back to having his 40-point ceiling again. And then here comes Joe Burrow's wrist, and now he's out for the season again. So he has not had a quarterback the entire season.
No. And now he doesn't have a shoulder.
Well, just get healthy soon, Jamar. I'm going to need you next season. I'm going to.
Keaton Mitchell tore his ACL.
They didn't even show the replay on this. I had to go to Twitter to find it. Then on Twitter, I was like, ooh.
Yeah, it was one of those gross, like, hyperextended knee sort of deals. Ugh. So, I saw one of those, like, fantasy doctors did the tweet. Oh, it was so gross. He was like, well, I'm not going to tweet a picture of the Keaton Mitchell injury, but here's a completely unrelated picture of a deer's hind leg. I was like, oh no, what are we doing?
I don't know if there's many biologists in our listeners, but the human knee does this and it bends this way, and this is your knee joint. It's not supposed to go that way.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the way the knee goes.
And that is exactly how a deer's hind leg goes. The Steelers benched Mitch Trubisky. Okay. And then Atlanta benched Desmond Ridder once again.
God. For the Ridder one, not the Trubisky. Going from like, have you ever seen that meme of the old man and he's wearing that like red plaid shirt? And he's at Christmas, and he opens up a Christmas present, and they've got him taking a picture and smiling with it, and he got another shirt, and it's the same red plaid shirt. Like,
it's the exact
Steelers
same,
going
it's the exact
from
same one.
Like Pickett to Trubisky, same thing, and then I don't even know who their backup is at this point, but is it going to be worse?
Is it Mason Rudolph still?
Might be. I think it is Mason Rudolph. It's not going to be worse.
There you go.
What, you're scoring 3 points?
It'll be
you're
about
scoring
the
3
same.
points a game. What?
It will be the exact same. Are you excited about Taylor Heineke being the quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons down the stretch?
For the simple fact of he can't be worse. He was better than Ridder when he was playing. And then
What did he do to get benched?
He got hurt.
Because he's already been benched once for Ridder again. So it was Ridder, and then it was Heineke, and then they went back to Ridder.
He got hurt. They went back to Ridder and just stayed with him, and then they're finally going back to Heineke. The Falcons,
so it wasn't due to play.
Landon Davis actually texted me this. I didn't realize it at the time. The Falcons are in play, as it stands right now, for either a home playoff game and also a top 5 pick. They can get both still, depending on how the rest of the season goes.
Oh. That, wow. I know exactly which side of that you hope they land on.
I hope he gets fired. I'll say that. I finally am starting to see stuff where like Arthur Smith could get fired at the end of the season. Like, excellent. Arthur Blank doesn't fire coaches during the season. It's not his style. So, but yeah, if there's a chance Arthur Smith is out, then awesome. What needs to happen? Here's the dream scenario here. You lose out.
Okay.
Some of the teams ahead of you in draft order, they win a few games. You get into that top 5, maybe not even top 5, but top 10. You got a top 10 pick. All right. You fire Arthur Smith. You trade up in the draft to get Drake May. Ben Johnson has already said Drake May is one of the quarterbacks he'd be willing to work with. So you get Ben Johnson, you trade up for Drake May. I think if that happens, Bijan and Kyle Pitts are instantly a top 5 running back and a top 5 tight end. You get Ben Johnson and Drake May.
Now, what if in this trade up, they have to trade away Kyle Pitts or Drake London,
like you don't do it.
Carolina Panthers did?
You don't do it.
Okay. You just give up picks for forever.
You don't need picks. You got Kyle Pitts.
All right. Fair enough. You've already got all these elite
got all the
offensive
pieces
producers.
you need. You just need someone with half a brain to figure out how to use them. Like I watched a little bit of the game. I was pissed. I wasn't going to watch the whole thing. But I watched a little bit and
you were just angry watching it.
I saw there was like a play they literally you've got Kyle Pitts lined up in the 3-point stance to block or whatever. And then they like have Jonnu Smith in the slot, and he's the one that's like scheming. So he runs, he's like motioning in the formation, snap the ball, and he runs upfield, and they throw it to him for like a 50-yard gain or whatever. He's the one they like scheme the touch for. And the receiving tight end, your number 4 overall pick 2 years ago, is the one blocking. While Jonnu Smith, the free agent pickup, is the one you're scheming the touches for. Like, that is beyond insane to me. And if you don't like Kyle Pitts because he's not a good blocker, I guess I get that. Like, he's not a tight end, quote unquote. Well then, all right then. But why is he the one blocking then? Why is he not the one you're scheming the touch for? I don't get it.
This is a dilemma we will never know the answer to because
Baffling.
It is unanswerable. It is one of life's most difficult questions to answer.
And we're not going to get an answer because Arthur Smith thinks he's the smartest man in the world at all times. I don't need to give Bijan Robinson the ball in the rain.
No.
A raining game where you need...
Tyler Allgeier's just as good.
Did you know that... let me see if I can find the exact stat. I believe that Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, and Drake London combined for 13 touches against the Panthers.
And Tyler Allgeier had 15.
What is happening? I don't understand.
Oh man!
You have 3 years of top 10 picks, and then the 5th or 6th round pick of Tyler Allgeier. They are all decoys. Tyler is the focal centerpiece of the offense. Him and Jonnu Smith and Mac Hollins. All those other guys, that's eye candy. Don't look at them.
That's eye candy. That's good. That's eye candy. Shall we talk about these playoff matchups? I don't know which direction you want to go here.
Let's start with...
There's polar opposite emotional
Let's start with
here.
I guess, the least interesting one. The granddaddy of them all.
This was a butt whooping. I guess there's really no good way to
I
say
saw this one coming. This was not a surprise to me.
Did you though?
Yes. I knew I was going to lose.
You also thought you were...
Okay. The other league, I'll give it to you, I was overly pessimistic. But I have reason to be overly pessimistic.
You were.
But I was. This one, Thursday night, it decided it. You started the Raiders defense when they had 30 points. I started Austin Eckler. They had 5. Literally, your defense. This is... Let me just tell you who's on the team. Like, Austin Eckler, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, and Travis Kelce all got outscored combined by the Raiders defense. The Raiders defense by itself outscored Kelce, Jefferson, Chase, and Eckler. I had no shot.
Yeah, that will do it.
The only, and I mean only player who pulled his weight at all was Jahmyr Gibbs. He had 24. Good job, Jahmyr.
He did.
You get a star.
But to be fair, it was not just the defense. If I started a defense that would have scored 0 points, I would have still beat you by 25. It was
because you started Christian McCaffrey.
It was a poor performance. Yes, there it is.
But this is the how much I want people to know I didn't have a shot in this one when the defense outscores the entire star core that I have. McCaffrey was just icing on the cake.
Yes. No, McCaffrey just sort of put it away. What was really funny about the Raiders defense was I was waffling on the defensive play significantly. I didn't know what to do there. And I just, at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Thursday, just was scrolling through the available defenses, and I saw the Raiders. And literally, like, I didn't even think it was a smash start, but I was like, the matchup might be pretty good because it's Easton Stick. Keenan Allen's not going to play. Literally, it's only Austin Eckler. And I was like, I don't know, maybe this could be good. Because the Raiders haven't really been a good fantasy defense. I think they're a pretty decent defense in real life, but like not a great one. It was truly just a matchup thing. And so I just picked them up, threw them in there, and I was like, what the heck. And then Thursday night happens, and I was like, that was unexpected. That was something.
Yeah, I mean, it brings us to another point, and I don't know how we missed this in the news section. If you listen to our show much at all, you know there's a specific quarterback that the two of us together both love very dearly. And his name is Justin Herbert.
We should be throwing a celebration right now.
That game,
I totally forgot
as
to put
bad
this
as
in
it was for me for fantasy, needed to happen because it got one very specific goal done. And that is the firing of Brandon Staley. He can't hurt us anymore.
Yeah, that was honestly worth it. He cannot. He cannot. He escaped. His career has been saved, most likely.
I hope.
I mean, who are we kidding? They're going to probably hire some bum.
Bill Belichick.
And it's not going to get any better.
They go get Bill.
Honestly, I really wouldn't be mad about that. I would not be mad about Bill Belichick. At least the defense will be good.
Dude, with the talent they got on there? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And they got to have a decent draft pick. Go get... I've seen mocks where, like, Brock Bowers falls to them. I'm like, if you get Justin Herbert, Brock Bowers? What? What?
Good Lord. Good Lord. That would be crazy. Yeah, no. Basically, anybody would be an upgrade over Brandon Staley, I guess is where we're going with this.
So I'm excited.
So, yeah, that needed to happen. Outside of that glaring difference, Christian McCaffrey did happen. That will do it. And it just... There was no drama in this Granddaddy of them all matchup. No. So I don't know that there's really a ton to say about it, to be totally honest with you.
No, my team
I had Cooper Kupp. I had Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, your team had kind of been inconsistent, but it finally had its ceiling week. So I guess that's nice for you to see that going into the championship. Mine has been limping for the past month and a half. I mean, Kelsey's underperforming. Just got Jefferson back, but I mean, had him back for one game, and then he gets knocked out and comes back. He actually has 10 targets in this game, 84 yards on 7 catches. So not bad from Justin Jefferson, but not what you're hoping. Chase got hurt, but he's also playing with the backup. Like I mentioned, Kelsey, Devonta Smith, DeAndre Swift, they're okay right now. They don't wow. Josh Allen had a great real-life game. He only threw for like 90 yards, but put a whooping on Dallas. But not what I was hoping for fantasy.
Yeah, it just didn't really come together.
I'm not sure. This is a dynasty league. I'm not sure exactly what to do with this team going into the offseason. A lot, I guess, will depend.
You probably just got to keep running it back.
Yeah, a lot will depend on, I guess, where some people go in free agency. Josh Jacobs is on the team. T. Higgins is on the team. So depending on where they go will make up a lot of my mind of where to go for the future. There's still good young stars. Like Josh Allen's not going anywhere. Jefferson Chase aren't going anywhere. Jahmyr Gibbs is... I mean, he's starting to look like the star we drafted. We were hoping he would be. So there's bright spots, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it's still going to be right there next year, honestly. You've still got Chase and Jefferson. If Kelsey happens to drop off or retire or something, you've got T.J. Hawkinson.
We
Josh
forget
Allen's
about Hawkinson on there.
We do. You've got... maybe a little bit of a hole there at running back, but frankly, if you need a running back, you can trade for one. You have the ability to do that. You'll be fine.
On to the more exciting matchup.
Good Lord. Yeah, so where the granddaddy of them all was an absolute tail whooping, our ordinary gentleman matchup was the matchup that I posted the screenshot of on Instagram. And this thing came down to, I kid you not, the final play of Monday Night Football. Literally. This was about as stressful of a fantasy matchup as I can personally remember my team being in a playoff scenario, this was rough.
Yep. It was one of those, we kind of exchanged knockout blows throughout the week going into that. Like, Chase, wasn't amazing. But then you had Devontae Adams go off Thursday night. So I'm like, oh, great. I'm going to lose that. So I immediately went into poor me mode after that. Then Jahmyr Gibbs comes in on Saturday, has almost 25 points. Like, bam, right back in there. Okay, cool. We got a fighting chance. And then Chase and Jefferson outscores them by 5, but they're pretty evenly distributed there. Sunday kind of goes back and forth. I got Kupp have 25. But Jalen Waddle scored 28. Waller and Kelsey, they canceled out. Diggs wasn't amazing. Barkley wasn't amazing for you. Where things really went wrong for you was Najee Harris.
Najee Harris did absolutely nothing. He had a fumble. So here's the fun. This is where this was frustrating. So the score, you beat me 131.3 to 130.3. Here's the many different scenarios in which this could have gone the opposite direction, at least from my point of view. Najee Harris had a fumble. That's -2 points. If he doesn't fumble, I win. Patrick Mahomes had an interception in which it hit Kadarius Toney in the hands. He bobbled it because he's Kadarius freaking Toney.
How is he still employed?
And the defense intercepts
if
it.
If I am as bad at my job
that should not
as he
count.
is at his, I get fired.
Yes, he's terrible. That should not count as a quarterback interception. I mean, that was as good of a throw as you can throw on that specific throw, and Kadarius Toney turned it into a turnover. So that's -2 points for Patrick Mahomes. If that doesn't happen, I win. Going to that final drive, A.J. Brown caught a 15-yard pass where he got 1 foot in on the last drive, but did not get the second foot in. If he gets the second foot in,
full disclosure, on
Jalen
Monday
Hurts.
night, you have A.J. Brown. I also have DeAndre Swift. I went into Monday night up 2 points.
Yes. And it was basically, okay, is A.J. Brown going to outscore DeAndre Swift? And he did by 1 point. I needed him to outscore him by 2 points. It was just so frustrating because it's a full PPR league. So literally, I just needed A.J. Brown to have a catch, a 10-yard catch. That would have done.
And I will say, too, in my defense as well, DeAndre Swift went down twice at the goal line, which, of course, what's happening then. There's no shot he's going to touch the ball a second time. One time, Jason Kelsey literally tackled him. Jason Kelsey tackled him. He's like, no, Hurts is scoring. Yep. Stop it.
Yep.
And at one point on that final drive, you actually took the lead. No, not the final drive, but the drive before.
It was the drive before
you took the lead,
yep.
And then they handed it to DeAndre Swift, and he took it 14 yards. That took it back, and then neither of them touched the ball again.
Yes. That's exactly how it went down. A.J. Brown had a 10-yard catch, and I took the lead, and there was 4 minutes left in the game or something, whatever it was. It's like, okay, I got it. We're good. Swift has a 14-yard run, and I lose the lead, and that was that. I was heated. I was fuming, frustrated. There's nothing you can do about it. But that to me, losing by a point where there's so many different ways it could have gone the other direction, that is the worst way to lose in the playoffs to me. I don't know how you feel about it because you have the polar opposite reaction of getting your butt just
you're not going to find much
destroyed.
sympathy here because you already monkey stomped me in one league. Give me this one. Good Lord.
Right. But so, okay, I wonder this then. You have experienced the very close loss. Granted, it's been in the championship, so there's no consolation there. But isn't it so much worse to lose very close where it's dangled in front of you and you feel like it can happen than it is to lose very badly where you had no
100%
shot?
agree there. I was after Thursday night, I was like, all right, I'm just done in the granddaddy of them all. That one's over. So I'd already written that up. But this one, it was gut wrenching. That whole Monday night, like every time Swift went down at the 1, like I just turned around and just started like beating my fist into the couch. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Like if he scores, that's it. I've got it.
Yep.
And this team, I want to stay. Congratulations to this team fighting through such adversity. Jonathan Taylor, injured. Christian Kirk, injured on IR. This team has lost both of its beating hearts in Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow. This Superflex League going into this year with those two guys having lost both of them at this point, still alive in the playoffs and getting to the championship.
Yeah,
that's why I had no hope going into this. Like I've lost all my I don't. I've got other good players. Sure, the team is stacked. I'll give you that. But like I don't stand a chance against Lamar, Mahomes, Adams, Jefferson. Like
I do. Yeah, it's two very stacked teams on paper. The problem is, I guess, just the way this year's worked out, they haven't quite performed up to their potential. So, you know, we limped into the playoffs to face one another, and it wasn't like either one of our teams had a bad week. That happened last year, or no, it was 2 years ago. We both had terrible weeks. Somebody had to win, but it was a pillow fight. That was not this one. This was two pretty good weeks. There was traded haymakers, and then at the end of the day, it just happened to be your team that was the better
This
team.
is also the second time you and I have met in the playoffs twice in this league. 2 years ago in 2021
Yes.
and this year. Both times on Monday Night Football, the Eagles played, and my last player was an Eagles running back. It was Miles Sanders in 2021 and DeAndre Swift this season. Eagles running backs on Monday Night Football in the semifinals. You will beat Josh.
100%. There's going to be serious superstition if I ever go up against an Eagles running back on Monday Night Football in the semifinals.
And
again.
if it's on my team, you might as well just pull all your guys. Like there's no point.
I should just quit. I haven't beat you in the playoffs.
Not in that league. Did you know going into this year, I had only beaten you one time over like 2 or 3 years. And it was that time in the playoffs. This year, I went 3-0, including the playoffs.
Yeah, it was rough. The other wrinkle to this, too, and this is where it's doubly frustrating for me and maybe doubly exciting for you, is
scary, too.
Now the matchup that you draw now through, frankly, a serious stroke of luck. Here's the other scenario. In the other semifinal, you've got our buddy Landon Hewell.
The team's been
and he's facing
up to this point.
It's highest scoring team in our league.
Not by a little, by like a lot. Like you and I are second and third, and he's got like 250 more points than we do.
Yeah, it's a significant gap between him and then everybody else. He has just been crushing people. And he was facing another team that of the 10 teams in this league is 6th in scoring and had the lowest points against. So on paper, it looks like Landon is just going to run through this guy and get into the finals, and whoever gets to face him just gets an invitation to get their butt kicked.
Yeah, I told you going into this, like, I know you're going to beat me, but neither of us is going to beat Landon in the playoffs, so it doesn't matter.
Exactly. I was fully with you, too. I was like, I want to get to the finals because, anything can happen. But, like, in my heart of hearts, there's no way. There's no chance. This dude's team has been on an absolute heater. And then the news breaks that Tyreek Hill is not going to play, and everything changes. And Landon drops an absolute turd, gets beat in the semifinals, and now you get to face in the finals the team that is 6th of 10 in scoring, had the lowest points for of any playoff team, and somehow managed through like serious luck to go 9-4 in the regular season. Like this was, I don't want to just bag on a dude who's in the finals in a dynasty league. But like, it's like that meme of like the dragon with the hydra or whatever, with 3 heads, and you got like 2 normal heads and then one that's just like a complete goofball. You know what I'm talking about? That's what this guy's team is. It's just like this one is over here, and then there's these playoff teams over here, like and he's just off playing in the
probably
sand.
better with you got like the 4 Navy SEALs, 3 of them all in gear, and then the one clown in the middle. Like me, you, and Landon. Like you look at these teams on paper, like God squads. These boys are legit, and then this guy and he's made some questionable trades over the offseason. Like he had McCaffrey, got rid of him. Jalen Hurts, got rid of him. Still is in the final.
He's just... sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Let's put it that way. And I think that has played a role in this whole situation. So now you get to face him for 2 weeks in the finals. I'm of the opinion you will end up winning.
I hope.
But I'm sure you don't feel that way because you have this way of coping that is extremely negative.
Well, also, to be fair, I have no reason to be positive. Like, if you have been in leagues with me, you know I'm remarkably unlucky. Like, really unlucky. My team gets pummeled with injuries or just these freak things happen, like Stephon Diggs scoring 40 points on Monday night.
You are the guy that managed to lose in the fantasy championship when you had Alvin Kamara score 5 touchdowns in your lineup.
6 touchdowns.
6. God. My fault. He scored 50 points.
I had Alvin Kamara. He had Devontae Adams and Stephon Diggs, who combined for 70 points.
I think it was like 80. That can't be beat. That is a moment.
And I've lost to the same guy, Landon Davis. I mean, good on you. I've lost to him. Except for going into this year, I've lost to him 4 years in a row in the playoffs. Last year, even in this, and that's in the granddaddy of them all, even in this league, which I actually won a couple years ago, praise the Lord, is like the only fantasy championship I've ever won. Except for that one where I didn't get paid. It was like a redraft league. Never got my buy-in. Everybody paid in, I won it, and then the commish just kept the money.
Good.
So even there, I'm hard. So yeah,
love that.
And going into this one, like maybe Jonathan Taylor plays. I hope. I've lost both my starting quarterbacks. Like I'm limping into this one.
I think that's both of us right now. Like I don't think either one of us feels super duper confident about winning the whole thing, but we're hopeful. That's where we are.
Maybe my luck will change. I doubt it, but
I highly doubt it. You sir, you must have done something because the juju surrounding your fantasy luck is just
a big ladder that I can't
bad.
see that goes over my house that I walk under every day. Like I don't understand.
There's something. Okay, speaking of like really, really poor juju, I was talking with some of the folks over on Instagram and just like asking, like, what are some of the really bad beats you've had in your fantasy playoff matchups or just surrounding your playoffs? And we got some answers that like they just were so unlucky.
Hurt your heart, honestly.
And so grotesque. They are tear jerkers that we had to talk about them. Like, frankly, this is the sort of situation where this is group therapy and we're going to talk it out. And hopefully we'll feel better at the end of it.
I have experienced just as much pain as you have. Believe me.
Absolutely. So leading things off, at Hausman15 on Instagram said that he lost in the fantasy playoffs because Breece Hall and Bijan Robinson combined for 2 points. And I think I forgot to put the end there, but he also lost by 2 points.
I am so sorry. That
is
is worse than what happened to you in Gentlemen. That is bad.
Yes. That's awful because I'm pretty sure Bijan Robinson, at least in PPR leagues, I think he scored 0.1 points.
He scored 0.4 points, I believe, in full PPR.
Okay, 0.4. In half PPR or standard leagues, it was negative. So he lost you points. You could have not played him, and it would have been better. And then obviously Breece Hall did absolutely nothing. That's terrible. I feel so
I'm
bad.
frustrated, like, as a Falcons fan from the outside. The only league I have Bijan in, and it cost me an arm and a leg to get him, by the way. I'm already out of the playoffs, so it didn't affect me. Like, I'm imagining if I had Bijan or somebody in the granddaddy of them all, or gentleman or something like that, like how furious I would be about that. And I feel very bad for this guy. And then Breece is...
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Like, 2 passes is all you need. Like, he catches 2 passes.
Yeah, Breece is rough because... And this is like in the granddaddy of them all, I traded him away this year leading up to the playoffs for Travis Etienne.
Etienne didn't even have a good week, and he quadrupled what Bijan
was better.
and Breece got.
Yeah, no, it has worked out swimmingly so far just because Breece can't get anything going on the ground because their offensive line is so terrible. Their offense as a whole is terrible.
He runs into a brick wall every time he touches the ball.
I think, and I could be so off base here, I think I saw somebody tweet that over the last 6 weeks or something like that, Breece Hall has scored like 25 PPR points on the ground, and he scored like 90 as a receiver.
I believe that. I have a quick question because I have seen this everywhere. Is people now asking Gibbs and Bijan, which one do you prefer?
I still prefer Bijan. I prefer his talent to Gibbs' talent. But I will say this. I have been asking around in places where people have Bijan, just trying to gauge how they feel about him. Because I do think you've got an interesting situation where you can trade Gibbs for Bijan and maybe get a little something on top. And that's a trade I would do. Or you can maybe not even trade Gibbs for Bijan, but just like trade low to acquire Bijan. It's been a mixed bag in the people that I've talked to where a few are like still holding strong. They're like, no, nothing's changed. I still think he's incredible, one of the 5 best dynasty assets. A couple haven't really been super duper high on him. They've kind of been burnt, I guess. So I think it depends a little bit on your league, but there's going to be some interesting values on Bijan where it might depend who you ask.
Yeah, I ask it not saying that I believe that Gibbs is a better asset, I guess. I still would say Bijan as well. But the gap to me is far narrower than it used to be. I will say that. Partially because, I
agree.
We love Bijan and the talent, but Gibbs is great. Like, Gibbs is extremely good. Gibbs is a blue chip prospect in his own right. Not to the extent of Bijan, but he is. I saw one guy, he's like, would you prefer Gibbs or Bijan? He's like, I tried to trade Bijan straight up for Gibbs and couldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, that's not the kind of trade you can do right now, though, because, like, that is just the opposite of how trade values work, because you cannot trade a player when their value dips for another player whose value is going up. So, like, that one's not going to work.
Awesome buy low opportunity for Bijan if you are lucky enough to be in a league where you can get it done.
That is the key. If you're lucky enough to be in a league where you can get it done, you probably still have to pay, like, you know, the farmer's ransom.
Which I would.
It's worth it. It just might be a cheaper ransom than it was a month ago.
I mean, just 2 weeks ago, Bijan had his blow-up game where he scored 30 points, had like 2 touchdowns, and everybody's like, all right, here it is. Capitalize while you can.
At Muller IG on Instagram said that the way he lost his fantasy matchup was that Kyron Williams had 2 fumbles, and he lost by 2 points.
Najee had 1 fumble, and you lost by 1 point.
Yes, I know. Kadarius Toney existed, and I lost by 1 point.
yeah. If Patrick Mahomes throws one less interception, you win.
Yes.
Oh, that's brutal.
So Sky Moore was just put on IR.
Oh no! So
if
they can't get rid of Toney.
Instead, actually, yeah. if it was actually like Toney got put on IR before the game instead of Sky Moore, I would have
Toney
won.
needs to get put on the waiver wire. life.
Anyways, David Perez commented, this really had me cracking up. This is funny. He said that he was the first team out of his league's 4-team playoff in 2 separate leagues. He said he's also a Florida State fan. Oh, no.
Oh, dear. Oh, that's a can of worms.
Oh, dear Lord. I messaged him on the side. I DM'd him, and I was like, I am so sorry.
Yeah, that one deserves a call out. Like, all right, I feel for you, dude.
That one's rough.
Unfortunately
Absolutely
for
rough.
him, Florida State never deserved to be in. Oh, shouldn't
Oh,
have said that.
oh,
Oh,
no.
Oh,
no.
I'm just kidding. I do think Bama's better though. But Florida State
Whew.
deserved the shot. But Bama's the better.
Let's not get him all riled up now. If he's
Hope he doesn't
listening,
listen
he's
to this
like,
episode.
I quit.
No.
Oh dear.
But seriously, if you're a Florida State fan, and that happens to you twice, like you're sitting here like, God, are you trying to tell me something? Like, what is the deal?
Yeah, that is a divine intervention, is what that is.
Yeah, there's something in your life that you're missing that you need to pay attention to, sir.
You need to atone for a sin that you don't even know about.
Yeah.
Okay, speaking of divine intervention, this is an all-timer. At Hack Jalton, I'm not even going to try and figure out if there's a name in there somewhere. But he said that he missed the playoffs by a half of a point when a stat correction took a full point away from his defense. Oh, no. Oh, no. That
Stat
is so
corrections scare me.
bad.
They scare me.
You're still waiting for one to drop down.
I'm still waiting for it. Like,
give me the win.
They said they don't finalize it till Sleeper doesn't finalize it till 1 p.m. Wednesday. Like they're gonna find some nitpick somewhere.
They're gonna say that the Kadarius Toney interception was not an interception. That was a drop and it was a fumble.
They will not say that.
What if they do?
What if they do?
Yeah.
Then I'll find out where Kadarius Toney lives. I'll take care of the problem myself.
Andy Reid won't have to worry about it anymore.
Be like Thanos at the end of one of the Avengers games. Like, fine, I'll do it myself.
Last one here, and this also just like horrific. Mr. J Vance says that he went from first place all year to a first round exit because Keenan Allen and Tyreek Hill got hurt.
Dude, the Tyreek Hill injury devastated like many teams. Like it, Landon Hewell, our buddy and gentleman, lost it. Denny, if he has Tyreek, he wins this week. Plain and simple.
Yes,
he loses in the granddaddy of them all. Like, I just want to. I would love to put out a poll or whatever. Like, if you had Tyreek, did he cost you the game? And just see how many votes say yes. Because there has to be thousands of teams out there that this happened to.
I'm sure so many, because he is so important to these teams. Like
he single-handedly got people there. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been dragging you. It'd be like if I didn't have Christian McCaffrey. Now, granted, this week it may not have mattered, but like still, not having Christian McCaffrey, that's a large chunk just deleted from your lineup that you've got to replace by somebody on your bench. That's not ideal.
No.
So, yeah, I'm sure there are a lot of teams.
If you had Tyreek,
that are in
I am sorry.
That's rough. Yeah, hopefully we all feel better now.
I would say of the worst of these has got to be Brees and Bijan combining for 2, number 1. And number 2 is my poor Florida State fan here. That is just salt in the wound. Oh, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I think just like the symmetry there of what's happening in real life and what's happening in your fantasy leagues.
I can't imagine being a Florida State fan, like, because I was watching the whole thing go down and hearing all the people's arguments the whole time, like, does Florida State deserve to be in? Like, well, they deserve to be in. Are they the better team? With a backup quarterback? I don't know. Probably not. And the back and forth for like that whole first hour of the show, watching that Sunday morning, And I can't imagine, like, I'm a South Carolina fan. If that had been us in that scenario, like, oh my God, what's going to happen? And then you see the other team's name pop up in that 4th spot. Oh, God, I would have thrown up.
I would have been so mad.
I would have thrown up. And then it happens to you in 2 different fantasy leagues.
The exact
same scenario. God. Oh.
That's so bad.
David Perez,
I feel for
I'm
him.
sorry.
I feel for all of the individuals here because these are all really bad beats, but that one might be the worst. I will grant him that. That's tough. Anything else you want to add before we get out of here?
I'm pulling for you in the championship. How about that?
I'm pulling for you in the championship as well.
Well, look at that. We had the Josh and Ben hate week. It happened. It's over. I'm glad it happened all at once. We can move on now. And yeah, I would like to see two trophies at the end of this.
That'll do it from us. We'll see you guys.
This is finally a hopeful note we ended on. Look at that.
We did. We worked through our issues. We got it all out, and now we're feeling lighter, you know?
Pulling for you guys. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Hopefully all of y'all can avoid the bad beats. Hopefully we can come back next week, and it's just happiness. We can talk about our finals matchups, and
we'll have a couple more weeks of I want to hear some good news. But when championship week rolls down, we'll probably put out some how did you win your championship? Let's hear some good stories about that.
That would be fun.
There will be a how did you lose as well.
Yeah, well, of course.
Of course.
We've got to do a few more of these bad
here
beats because we don't discriminate. You can win or you can lose. It doesn't matter to us. That'll do it for this one. We'll see you guys next week. Best of luck in your finals matchups. We'll see you.
Peace.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Brothers podcast. If you enjoyed the episode and want to connect to us, follow us on Instagram at @FantasyBrothers_ or on Twitter at @FantasyBros_. If you want to support the show, you can do that at Patreon /Fantasy Brothers.